Now the important part comes to you. We have 15 minutes before the translators go at 2 o'clock. So I'd like to give the floor to the questions and answer, and to the panelists. And of course we have Ms. Patricia Francis, Executive Director of ITC, who will be making the closing statement. But before that, we would like to open, and I'd like to give the floor to Ms. Can you please identify yourself and name and affiliation? Okay.
دكتور باجت أبو النصر جامعة الدول العربية.
لا مرة كمان.
دكتور باجت أبو النصر من جامعة الدول العربية.
أهلا وسهلا.
أهلا بك. استاذنك، كان يمكن خلال السيشن دي انا لاحظت ان انا رأيت بس النصف الكوب كله فارغ، ولكن في الواقع ان الكوب اقترب من ان يمتلئ، والجزء الفارغ ليه اسبابه، والاسباب كنت اتمنى اسمعها ما سمعتهاش في هذه الجلسه. القول ان التجاره البينيه 11% فدي شيء طبيعي في هذه المرحله، لان 70% من صادرات الدول العربيه هي صادرات بتروليه. ولكن اذا انتقلنا الى الدول الغير بتروليه، على سبيل المثال 60% من تجارة لبنان مع الدول العربية، 45% من تجارة الأردن مع الدول العربية، تقريبا 50% من تجارة العراق مع الدول العربية، 30% من صادرات مصر صادرات المنطقة العربية. ولكن اللي بيخليني أنظر إلى النسبة 11% منخفضة، لأن 70% من الصادرات العربية صادرات بترولية بتتم من دول الخليج وبعض الدول البترولية خارج المنطقة العربية، وبالتالي لما بقسم البسط على مقام كبير جدا من الطبيعي أن تكون التجارة بهذا الشكل. دي أول حاجة بالحديث عن انخفاض التجارة البينية، ليه مسببات ومسببات هيكلية، ومن الصعب إن احنا نتخلص من هذه المسببات. القول، ويمكن أكثر دليل على ذلك إن اتحاد دول مجلس التعاون الخليجي، دول قطعت مرحلة متطورة جدا، التجارة البينية بينها بين 4 إلى 5% فقط. الحاجة بخصوص بقى الأسباب اللي هي قد تؤدي أو من الممكن إذا تغلبنا عليها تزيد التجارة البينية، هناك أسباب كنت أتمنى أسمعها من الجلسة. يمكن السبب الأول هو عدم الانتهاء من قواعد المنشأ التفصيلية للسلع العربية، بيترتب عليه أن بعض الدول العربية بتاخذ إجراء ضد سلع يتم تصديرها إليها بحجة أن هذه السلعة غير مكتملة المنشأ العربي. السبب الثاني هو القطاع الخاص. القطاع الخاص ليس هناك إعلان كافي بين القطاع الخاص يمثل 70% من الاقتصاد العربي، ومع ذلك ليس هناك إعلان كافي بأن هناك منطقة تجارة حرة. وأنا كنت حاضر مرة اجتماع غرف التجارة والصناعة، وعندما تكلمت عن منطقة التجارة الحرة سألوني، رئيس غرفة التجارة بيسألني عن منطقة التجارة الحرة. فبالتالي القطاع الخاص هو العامل الثاني. كمان القطاع الخاص هو المفروض يمثل قوة ضغط على حكوماته، أما جاء يتخذ قرار في الجامعة العربية ولا ينفذ من قبل الحكومات، القطاع الخاص هو المستفيد، وبالتالي كان يجب أن يمثل قوة ضغط على الحكومات من أجل تنفيذ القرار اللي تتخذ. الحاجة الثانية القيود غير جمركية، وتمثل عائق كبير جدا وممكن أشير لهذا الأمر. الأمر الرابع المهم جدا منتجات المناطق الحرة، وتمثل 30% من ناتج بعض الدول العربية. منتجات المناطق الحرة لم تدمج حتى الآن في منطقة التجارة الحرة، وبالتالي تمثل عائق أساسي في التجارة البينية بين الدول العربية. حتى يعني بنبحث عن صورة ازاي تدمج هذه المنتجات وأن تدخل ضمن منطقة التجارة الحرة. الأمر الثالث،
أشكرك عشان نقدر ناخد الأسئلة.
شكرا.
أشكر السيد طارق بنص من جامعة الدول العربية لإيضاح بعض النقاط الهامة الخاصة لأن طبعا الموضوع كبير ومتشعب، فطبعا زي ما قلنا مش معقول نقول كل الأسباب، بس دي أسباب مهمة أيضا وإحنا بنبص على الصورة الإجمالية. I give the floor, تفضلي please. If there's a microphone to the lady in the center, please. And then I think after we take all the questions, then we can allow the panelists to comment.
If you don't mind, Mr. President, and I am from government.
Okay.
I'm Zahra Maafiri, Director of Foreign Trade Policy at the Ministry in charge of Foreign Trade in Morocco. I am the head of the... Are you helping
Mohammed? Have you been helping him or no?
Yes.
Okay.
We are working on many topics together. He's one member of Consortium of Exports, and he is attending with us all negotiation for free trade agreements with our partners. And we are working also on the strategy of agribusiness in Morocco. So I know him very well. And I just want to say that if it was opening economy, free trade was the economical principle that was promoted in 80s and 90s for nations, that these ones will bring wealth to nations. So many countries that want to have a good positioning of their countries in the international markets start to open their economy, to sign free trade agreements, and to open the space for more international trade within their domestic markets. Morocco was very active in this area, joined the WTO in '87, hosted the Uruguay Round Conference in Marrakesh, and was also the place where WTO was born. And then he started to sign up free trade agreements with EU in 2000, as he said, Mr. Barrada, and we launched 10 trade agreements with Arab world, with Turkey, with states, and also with bilaterally with some Arab countries. We have free trade Arab, the GAFTA, the General Agreement. We have the agreements with bilaterally with Emirates, bilaterally with Tunisia, bilaterally with Egypt, and we have the Agadir agreement for the 4 countries. Just to say that all these make it very difficult for private sector to understand, and even for government side also, because these agreements took down the trade barriers for tariff, but the governance, the integration of these free agreements in the national strategies of export, of economic sectoral sectoral strategies was not well inserted. So just to say one word, that we are running a program, INACT, with the ITC since 2009. And this program was very well conducted by the team of Mrs. Francicia Patrice, Mr. Torek Farhadi, and Mr. Hashish, and Mr. Mundir Mimouni, I don't see him in the room, who was, that we worked together to understand why trade is not well developed with Arab countries. We have the legal framework, but the business doesn't follow. Why? And there was a survey conducted with 758 companies in Morocco, and we found out that non-tariff measures contributed to less trade with these countries, up to 35%. It's a third. That's too much. That's why we have to work now on this side. Not only tariffs less, but non-measured tariff less.
Thank you very much. This is very valuable, and I echo the gratitude and mention of the INACT program and the big players within ITC about this, the role in helping this, because obviously it is, from the conclusion, it is necessary but not sufficient. We are seeing many issues, structural, etc., but how to do business, to open the door for business needs much more than that. I give now the floor to my brother from Geneva and my sister. You wanted, okay, she will. Please identify yourself.
Yes, Treasure Mapanga. I'm the director from the African Union. Chokron Said Rice.
You're the director of the African Union in Geneva?
No, in Addis.
In Addis, okay.
Yes. Very briefly, I wanted to appreciate a point that was raised by Mr. Pascal Lamy at the beginning, which was drawing the parallels between the Arab region and the Africa region as well. And listening to the presentations, it's quite clear that the commonalities are also based on the fact that the largest populations within the Arab region are also in Africa. So we have a commonality from the perspective of the decisions taken by member states to affiliate with different structures. But I want to highlight that there is actually in 2010 an important meeting that happened which strengthened African-Arab cooperation and agreed to work on various issues and to basically take advantage of the opportunities and the various strengths that the different regions have to move forward. And I want to commend ITC for the analysis that has been done, not just in terms of the statistics, but also the qualitative information coming from the private sector about the concrete barriers to trade that are there. And want to highlight that one of the historical decisions that was taken at the last African Union Summit was to create an architecture for boosting intra-African trade. And of course, this is not in exclusion of other trade arrangements, but it is giving priority to allowing neighbors to trade amongst themselves. And there is an institutional architecture that includes a trade observatory, which is being established. And I believe that it is this kind of analysis and this kind of technical support which enables institutions like ITC to give this information and enable the analysis to be done for monitoring purposes. In our case, we want to be able to track developments, but also to enable us to have a very real dialogue with the private sector and in order to move forward. So I wanted to make those points and to just say that the example of Mishok, the company, for me was, all the presentations were very interesting, but it just highlighted how the markets in the African and Arab region are viable and that SMEs are penetrating them and using them as a strategy for growth and competitiveness to access other markets. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please, sir.
السلام عليكم. ناجي حسين من مصنع قطر للستيروبور.
مصنع قطر ليه؟
قطر ستيروبور فاكتوري، أحد المصانع هنا في دولة قطر. أعمل فيه مدير مالي من حوالي 15 سنة. أنا شايف زي ما حضرتكم يعني ذكرتوا في إن فعلا حجم التجارة بين الدول العربية متدني إلى حد ما. لكن أنا شايف في نقطة معينة حابب أعمل فوكس عليها، وهي إن كل دولة لها مصانعها الخاصة بيها، وبالتالي الاستثمارات متكررة، وفي كل دولة بقى عندها طاقة فايضة، فبالتالي يعني أنا عندي مصنع موجود منه هنا مصنعين أو 3 في مجال بتاعي. السعودية فيها أكثر من 10-12 مصنع، الكويت، كل دولة لها مصانع، وبالتالي إزاي هنقدر نتكامل مع بعضينا؟ لو في جهة معينة تنسق، يبقى قبل ما تدي ترخيص تجاري لأي مصنع أو لأي شركة بيبقى في قاعدة بيانات. بنشوف أنا عايز أفتح مصنع النهاردة، بلجأ لقاعدة البيانات دي، أشوف المصانع الموجودة دي منها من نفس النوعية دي موجود في أي دولة. بشوف لنفترض ان انا عاوز اعمل مصنع حديد مثلا بوضع معين، بلجأ لقاعدة البيانات دي، بشوف هل في مصانع موجودة في الدول العربية تقدر تغطي المنتج ده ويقدر يوصلني هنا في قطر او في اي دولة تانية ولا لا. لو موجود يبقى خلاص، ما يبقى اوجه استثماراتي لمجال تاني، تكون الدولة العربية محتاجة المجال دوت، وبالتالي انا اقدر استورد الحديد من الدولة اللي هي موجود، من الدولة او الدولتين اللي موجود فيهم الصنف ده. فبالتالي قادر يبقى في تكامل. لكن انا افتح مصنع وغيري يفتح مصنع، ازاي نقدر نتكامل مع بعض؟ فبالتالي يا ريت يكون في مثلا يعني انا يعني حابب ان كنتوا طبعا ناس مؤثرين في صنع القرار، وفي ظل وجود ناس من السيد الدكتور من جامعه الدول العربيه، ان احنا يعني نقترح ان يبقى في هيئه او في تنسيق ما بين الحكومات وبين الجامعه العربيه، بحيث ان هو يتعمل هيئه يبقى فيها داتابيز لكل المصانع الموجوده، وبحيث ان اي مصنع جديد يتم انشاؤه لازم نرجع للداتابيز. هل في طاقه فايضه عنده؟ اوكي، لو ما فيش طاقه فايضه عنده نقدر ننتج نفس مصنع تاني.
أشكرك. That has to be the last question because of the time. We have to finish at 2, so we'd like to give a chance to the panelists to respond before I give the floor to Ms. Patricia Francis to give the closing remarks. So I'll perhaps give, if you will, any of the panelists. Do you want Jean-Marie to say something and respond? Please.
Yes, Chairman, thank you very much. 2 very quick comments. The first one, about the question from the distinguished representative from the Arab League, just to confirm that our analysis is based, excluding oil. So the facts that we are presenting, we completely agree with you about the role of oil and the complementarities that it impairs, but we are really reasoning outside of oil, and here is a potential. So that's what we believe. One point which has been made very much, Mr. Chairman, and by yourself starting, is about conformity assessment. And I would just like to say this must not be looked at in abstract. There is a very concrete way to tackle this kind of issue. Conformity assessment, you have 4 scenarios possible, and we can roll up our sleeve in every sector and look at all the 4 scenarios. The first scenario is the regulation is stupid, so we need to scrap it. We were given the example of double copy of a document which is supposed, let's scrap it, it's possible. Second scenario is the company is not able. We need to train it. It's possible. The third scenario is the certifying authority is not able because it may lack investment, does not have the laboratory, or it's located too far from the exporting sector. This can be fixed. There is an investment strategy. And the last scenario is that my trade partner could outsource the job. This is negotiator realm. It's recognition agreement, mutual recognition agreement. Why in the Arab States League, I mean, people are same level of development, same types of concerns on consumer security, consumer protection. Mutual recognition agreement could take place pretty easily. The same standards would apply. So this is the kind of thing which are very concrete. And I take again the expression of rolling up our sleeves. We can do that. We can do that. You can do that with others. We can help you when needed. And that's my final one.
Je voulais simplement répondre à la dernière intervention concernant le fait qu'on devrait, disons, ne pas trop mettre en concurrence les entreprises dans un même secteur. Moi, je pense l'inverse. Je pense que plus il y aura de concurrence entre les entreprises, plus elles seront compétitives. Et à terme, il ne s'agit pas non seulement d'être compétitif au sein d'une même région, mais il faut devenir compétitif à l'échelle internationale et pouvoir dépasser la région arabe et aller exporter, même puisqu'on a parlé des régions africaines qui sont proches. Et je pense que le marché africain et le marché arabe constituent déjà un marché réellement important. Et plus il y aura d'entreprises, plus il y aura de concurrence, plus nous serons compétitifs et plus nous serons gagnants. Merci.
Thank you, Mr. Joseph Nicola, would you like to say any comments or to the questions?
None, there was none that concerned me.
Now, without much ado, and before I give the floor, I just want to say, because I will not be speaking after Ms. Francis, that she will give us the last word, and we've always kept the best for last, but to tell you that in general, I am very optimistic about the future. Despite, and I think we have an opportunity now. If we don't change now, with all that we've seen in the Arab world, then we will never change. But we've seen things that have changed that are much bigger, that 2 years ago we would have never have imagined would change in the Arab world. And therefore, I know that it is frustrating for an audience, and we have been part of this frustration when we grew up. Why isn't the Arab world doing better? Why isn't it trading? It has been part of this ideology and part of Arab nationalism since Nasser. And we've always blamed ourselves. Says we should do better. And therefore, sometimes the situation about talking about Arab free trade areas, etc., people even get bored. But I think now is not the time to give up. Now is the time to relook at this because of the youth, because of the confidence we attach in our youth. We have seen our youth do things that we have never have thought. So I think with the proper guidance, with the new mood that is set, the new democratic mood, the new accountability mood, the lack of corruption, the more transparency, already with these 4 factors, I think you can go a long way to addressing some of the problems that we have.